And welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks. And I am your humble host, Newz 718. And we're going to get into this breaking news. Breaking news that came out sometime this week ago. I believe it was at the Wednesday or Tuesday. But Superman Legacy has finally been casted. And your new Superman is David Cornsweet. And he is going to be starring in Superman Legacy ever since Henry Cavill officially announced that he was no longer going to be in the Superman. Be our new DCU Superman. And we also got as Lois Lane, and I forget her name, Rachel Brosnahan. And she's been tapped to play Lois Lane. Now, look, I'm not familiar with any of these people. All I know is, like everyone else says, the guy, David Cornsweet, looks like a younger Henry Cavill. And he does favor to be a younger Henry Cavill. I do see what they would have used to pick him. Lois Lane seems like she's going back to a traditional brunette. I've heard a lot about the Mrs. Maisel show, but I have yet to watch it. For this Superman, who knows? But this is being brought to you by Khaleesi Gibson of People Magazine, Everything to Know About Superman. In contrast, previous iterations of the Superman story, this film will focus on the earlier part of Superman. Alright, here we go. Let's do this right. In contrast to previous iterations of the Superman story, this film will focus on the earlier part of Superman's life as he grapples with his Kryptonian heritage and human upbringing. Here's everything to know about Superman Legacy. Who is the cast of Superman Legacy? In June 2023, David Cornsweet and Rachel Brosnahan were officially cast as Superman and Lois Lane, respectively. While Cornsweet is best known for his roles on The Politician and Hollywood, Brosnahan gained critical acclaim for her starring role as the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which recently wrapped its final season in May. With Superman and Lois Lane casting all set, the film is currently looking for actors to portray Superman's arch-nemesis Lex Luthor and Clark Kent's friend Jimmy Olsen, Deadline reports. Well, let me know what you guys think about this casting news. On the face, these people look pretty decent. I'll say Cornsweet looks a little bit more impressive for Superman because all he has to do is pack on the weight. I'm not familiar with his acting prowess. I'm not sure who's actually now. We are sure that James Gunn is writing it. I have some ideas and thoughts on that part, but for right now, on his face, this looks okay. I'm not mad. I'm still going through the process of transition myself because I liked what we had. And with the high ups and downs and not being sure where we're going, it is at least good to know that what the DCEU is planning on doing, and finally, it should be all given a rest, at least for the time being. I have thoughts on what's going to happen post this and what are the possibilities because of this will they won't they thing with DC and what's been going on with DC as of late. But right now, this is the breaking news, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below about just the casting. We can get into all the stuff later, but so far, we got to step in the right direction. And so far as the right direction with casting, these people look fine. I'm more interested in David Cornsweet, the young lady from The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I'm more interested because I'm hearing about her as an actress. As far as how she looks as Lois Lane, she's fine enough, closer to the traditional, but I'm not all the way getting Lois Lane vibes per se outside of the aesthetic of the dark hair, but I hear that she's a great actress, so I am kind of stepping in the beat of that. The same thing we had with our previous Lois Lane didn't really look like Lois Lane because she was a redhead. And we're talking about, and I'm talking about Lois Lane previously portrayed. Now we could say previously portrayed by Amy Adams. Great actress. I like the idea of a woman that might be a little younger, a little older and more experienced, juxtaposed against our Clark Kent. I thought it was an interesting dynamic between the two, which kind of gives her a little bit of, how you would say, kind of a little bit more maturity over the Clark that we had. So I was cool with that dynamic because it was something different, something fresh, something that we haven't seen. And having a redhead, completely different. But this seems to be a lot more traditional, which, if you know anything about me, I'm on for starting from the comic out. If we decide to change, start from the comic and then find an actress that could reflect it. And if we have someone that looks outside of the aesthetic, there's nothing wrong with going with that. This is still Superman movie. So we have a redheaded Lois Lane. Big whoop. But Superman needs to remain who he is as much in aesthetic as possible. And this is a pretty good start. So we can afford that. Even though it comes to